Gina Reinhart. I should actually declare she's a friend of mine. She's also Australia's richest woman, and I've now got to thank her. In fact, I already have privately. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Gina, for teaching the Diamonds, Australia's national netball team, a badly needed lesson. Go woke, go broke. And I mean that literally. Netball Australia is now broke because its woke athletes acted so stupidly that Reinhart said, I'm out of here. I'm scrapping my $15 million sponsorship of that sport. And I hope the rest of Australia is watching, because the Diamonds have really, truly represented our country by showing our moral, mental and economic decline. They refused to wear the logo of Reinhart's Hancock Prospecting. It mines iron ore. Because an incoming player, Donnell Wallam, who identifies as Aboriginal, objected to something Reinhart's father, Lang Hancock, said 38 years ago. It's really that stupid. Gina and the company that she's led for 30 years since his death, 30 years, are being judged by an offensive comment by her long-dead father. Now, true, what he said back then, a decade before Wallace was even born, was offensive. I won't hide that.
Those that have been assimilated into earning good living or earning wages amongst the civilised areas, that have been accepted into society, and they have accepted society and can handle society, I'd leave them well alone. The ones that are no good to themselves and can't accept things, the half-caste, and this is where most of the trouble comes, I would dope the water up so that they were sterile and would breed themselves out in future, and that would solve the problem.
I agree, it's appalling. I'm not hiding it from you. But do we really now judge people by ancient comments made by one of their relatives, a father, a grandfather, maybe an uncle? How can such witch hunting now be applauded on Twitter and on the ABC as brave, principled, when it's so immoral and tribalist? The sins of the father. I mean, for heaven's sake, how can Netball Australia's CEO think, oh yes, it's brave to slur someone who isn't racist for the comments of a father 4 decades ago?
Look, I support the players in terms of the notion that they put forward in the fact that they wanted to support one of their athletes. I think that was, really admirable and really brave of everybody to come forward and start this discussion. But obviously it's not for us to talk about whether or not it's right or wrong to ask Gina Reinhart to denounce her father's views. That's really just not the space that, we should be playing in. But I'm really happy with the conversation, obviously, that it started across the board.
So now what? Are we going to go to each of the Diamonds and start judging them by what one of their fathers or mothers once said? Really? Now, the thing is, I've known Gina for many years and I've never heard anyone accuse her personally of racism, and that should count. In fact, one of the Aboriginal corporations promotes her Handrines Futures Scholarships, which gives young Aborigines training, mentoring and a job. She also backs Pilbara Faces, which uses 3D facial analysis to identify rare diseases in Aboriginal children. How many of her critics have done as much? And that's on top of the more than $300 million her company has paid in royalties over 7 years to traditional owners of lands where she operates her mines. So when Wallam said she couldn't wear the Hancock Mining logo because of something Gina's father said before Wallam was even born, her teammates should have told her, look, be fair. Judge Gina by what she is and what she does. And think of the rest of the sport, by the way, which is desperate for a sponsorship, with Netball Australia now facing ruin with reported debts of $4 million. Instead, we get this stupid race politics, this stupid virtue signalling. All the team players back the one against the good of the many. Gina has now rubbed in the message. I think there's a very valuable public service that we now have people striking poses and despising the very things that prop up their rich and pampered lives, like the climate poseurs. Oh, we hate fossil fuels, while happily flying to Europe or to Bali or Fiji or climbing into their SUV. Now, Gina rubbed it in by noting that the Diamonds will be hurt most by losing her sponsorship. since the top players have been demanding what she called a very substantial increase in wages at the very time when their code is broke and can't afford to pay them. What a badly needed message for a country that's drowning now, not just in debt, but in race politics, global warming catastrophism, and anti-mining earth worship. You cannot demand the lifestyle if you reject the culture, the discipline, and the industries that create it. And thank you, Gina, for making that so clear.